Welcome to International Reggae Day, Bob Marley Museum, and Tuff Gong International. History is in the making today, so I'm here as Bongo Herman, master drummer, singer, percussion player for all the Marley's family. And today is a very special day for us, all over the world. So come and join us online and wire and any way you can join us. But this is the greatest history in the making, especially at Bob Marley Museum, 56 Hope Road. So we're about to start. History is in the making. 1,000 years in thy sight is like an evening gone. The repeater scatter, the funde flatter, and the bass drum batter. So we say batter, flatter, scatter. Reggae month, must.
Greetings and welcome to International Reggae Day. To our fans here in Jamaica and our people all over the world, welcome, welcome. We're here at the Bob Marley Museum in partnership with JARIA and the Tuff Gong International Group, as well as our sponsors and partners, Supreme Ventures, Jams, and the entire music fraternity who is here in spirit celebrating this very special day. We are here gathered this morning to salute 80s, 90s dancehall. That's what this one is about this year, and we are very happy to have with us in the house a number of special guests that are going to be a part of this very important discussion, looking at the influence of 80s, 90s dancehall on international genres such as hip-hop, reggaeton, EDM, and Afro Beats. On our panel this morning, we're going to have a number of illustrious, these are the people who were there before there was a there. So we have Clevie Brownie from the great Steely Cleevie. We have Noel Davey, one of the authors of the Sleng Teng rhythm. We have Jeremy Harding here with us from Too Hard, of course, very important in the mix of things from Sean Paul to Beenie Man. And of course, we have Sly Dunbar online with us as well from Sly Robbie. And rounding out our panel is Pat Meschino from Billboard magazine, and none other than the doctor, the king of the dance hall, Beenie Man. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here this morning. Before we go on, I'm going to ask Mr. Ewan Simpson, chairman of JARIA, to take us, welcome us here this morning. Mr. Simpson.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Founder, Curator, Producer. It is important to be here. It is important that JARIA has chosen to partner with International Reggae Day to celebrate what is our oil, what is our diamond, what makes us truly Jamaican, reggae. It is also important to recognize the significance of 80s, 90s dancehall, and I am happy to be in this amazing company, you know, with people like Mr. Cleveland Brownie, and of course, with the Dr. Beenie Man, who represents a lot of history in my life because he came to prominence at an event that was pivotal for me, right? And of course, the arrival of Nelson Mandela in Jamaica was very important in my own sense of self and sense of connection with Africa and so on. And so we want to give respect to him. We want to give respect to Noel Davey, one of those people whose name we don't often hear, but whose name is very important because the Casio keyboard on which he was working through tempos and beats and sounds was critical to the formation of Sleng Teng, that is indivisible from dancehall, and certainly from 80s, 90s dancehall. So JARIA, as the Jamaica Reggae Industry Association, finds it very important to have these partnerships. And we're happy that when we reached out to International Reggae Day, it was an immediate yes. It was a, how can we make it happen? And of course, given the realities that we function in, there were some bumpy moments along the way, but we're happy that we made it happen. And the Bob Marley Museum, of course, representing royalty in reggae, was able to facilitate this morning's presentation. And so we welcome everyone to join in with us, to celebrate International Reggae Day, to celebrate reggae, and to show the unity that there is. Global unity, in fact, because Abebe Lewis, who is one of our panelists today, is a next generation reggae royalty, being the son of Ian Lewis from Inner Circle, and Inner Circle being a part of the critical reggae diaspora, making moves very relevant to today, because we are talking about the global influence of reggae music. We're thanking Pat Meschino as well, because she represents, again, another powerful woman in reggae, like Andrea Davis, represents the voice out there, making sure that people understand what our pedigree is. And of course, the great Sly Dunbar online, and my friend, Mr. Harding from Too Hard. So thank you very much. Please feel welcome. It is a good, open conversation. You will hear some things you never heard before, and you will hear some things you've heard before in other ways. And so, all I'm here to say at this point, thanks Andrea, thanks International Reggae Day for partnering with JARIA for what we would normally call our Reggae Open University, but it is now a blended arrangement under the International Reggae Day umbrella, and we're happy to be part of it. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you very, very much, Ewan. And let me just again acknowledge Abebe Lewis joining us as well as a panelist this morning, and extend apologies for King Jammy, who is unable to join us this morning, but wishing him all the best and looking forward to connecting in another moment. So we're here talking about 80s, 90s dancehall, and this is going to be a conversation. So we want you to be comfortable in the space. We want you to understand that we're here to help people understand the depth and the richness of this legacy. You know, with all the collaborations and the sampling and the influencing that has gone on, we want to start first by acknowledging that the influence of this culture is not just the music. It starts with the rhythm, all the rhythms that are being sampled and adapted, but it's also the performances, the way we perform, the tradition of the DJ, the style of the sound system. It's also the production. You know, this is, in the 80s, 90s was the era of the producers, I like to say. And I think it's telling that this guy right here and the ones online, it's telling that it is their catalog that continues to be the source of new works, not only in our genre, but in genres around the world. And then also to look at the swag. We can't leave out the swag, because the language, the fashion, of which the doctor is one of the key exponents of the fashion and the swag and the dance. You cannot have dancehall without dance, you know, and so it's very important that we consider our cultural influence, not just in the songs and the music we're making, but in the style and fashion that Jamaica is, and I think it's part of the reason why Jamaica continues to hold such a powerful place in the hearts and minds of people around the world. So we're going to start by looking at some of the rhythms. And I think for this era, the one that kicked it off, the one that got the ball rolling, the one that set the space for dancehall 80s and 90s has to be the Sleng Teng rhythm. And we are so honored to have Mr. Noel Davey here with us this morning to just give us a sense of how that incredible body of work came to be and what was the journey, and if you maybe can show us a little bit about, you know, what produced such a sound.
Yeah, thank you very much, Andrea, Ms. Andrea. So I'd like to big up, before we go any further, I'd like to big up the International Reggae Day, the JARIA, Bob Marley Museum, the foundation, and all the sponsors, and everyone with there, and panelists and everyone. Good morning. And you know, this is a very, what you would say now, historic moment, because as you say, the gentleman from JARIA said, a lot of people don't even know about me. sometimes when this rhythm came out, I was like a younger man, you know? Yeah. So I remember when this rhythm came, and people say, something is going on, but when they mentioned that I had something to do with it, it was like, boy, shut your mouth and sit down, because it is bigger than you. And I said, no. So I had to go to showbiz, to Barry G. And I brought my equipment to Barry G. And Barry G was like, really? And he said, I'm going to put you on showbiz this afternoon. That time it was about 3 o'clock or something. And I took the Casio and I demonstrated how it was, you know. So it's something that we can do some of it whenever you're ready. Like,
Ready? Where's yours?
So the first instance, Wayne Smith used to come around my house, and you know, I used to just go down by the big road there and hang out to the big stars. You had Black Uhuru, you had Dan Carlos, you had Half Pint, Junior Reid. Yeah, down Waterhouse used to produce like some really hot entertainment. So we just used to be like,
Waterhouse produced some of the best entertainers.
all right, including you. Yeah. So when we go down by the road now, people would just pass and look, just to look at the entertainers. So I remember being down there, and I used to carry my melodica and blow the melodica. And Ducky Sims used to like what I do and say, you know, I'm going to take this youth on the beach and we'll go on and play music. So somebody came down from California, and they said to me, you know, a guy named Bonnie, he said, I have a machine in California, and since you're blowing this thing all the time, I think I was going to give you that little thing. So he went back to California, and he sent it down. Well, a lot of people claim, once I heard that it was the Wailing Soul, then I heard it was Buzzer. But whosoever brought it down, I got it. Now when I got the machine, it was like a new toy. So every day you would want to experiment and try. And then Wayne Smith wanted to get a break, so he used to come by me all the time. So when Wayne Smith and me hook up now, we would be fooling around the machine. So, like you'll be going, you press all buttons just to get to hear what's happening. And then one day something came out like that speed. And like I'm saying, but hear that something sound really nice, but we didn't know exactly what happened. So by fooling around, it lost. I couldn't get it back. And then a couple of days later, found it. I realized that it is a beat that is made in the machine.
A preset.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So by listening to it, you realize that if you try to play something to this, kind of fast, you know? Hello? Yeah, so it's kind of fast. So I say, no, to get this thing to reggae, and we'll find a button that turn it down. So you turn the tempo down again. About that. I'm not accurate right now. All right, so we got something that you could dance to and thing. But Wayne Smith decided that we have to carry to jammies, because he knew about jammies. I never knew about jammies. So when we went to jammies and played that for jammies, jammies said, maybe you can go down and click it too much. So give him credit. He took it down to the tempo that it is originally. No. So instead of like, maybe it go down to like, a little, right? Just a little. So I gave him credit for that. So after that, the rest was history. Yeah. The beat came out, and Radigan, David Radigan, I think it was, just played a lot of it one night. And I was like, I couldn't believe that this one rhythm just circulate over the whole world, and as everyone was playing this. So after that, it became a monster. Yes, it came. I remember Jamis took me down to Dynamic Sound. I met a gentleman by the name of Mr. Eddie Lee. That's supposed to be Byron Lee's son. Yeah. And they took me in a room that you don't go to those rooms normally. That is one of the top places. Yes. Because when I went in that office, it was like, wow. And the gentleman said, young man, you know what you have done? You have created history. This is a historic hit. Byron Lee's son said that to me. And the rest is history, as you say. It became one of the biggest dancehall rhythm ever. So that is, in a nutshell, I don't know if I go for mistakes with this.
No. Well, every second was worth it. I mean,
okay.
This is history, and we're
so
happy.
And this is what I'm just giving you half and exactly what I remember, right? Because along the way, people will say all of that. But when you was there, the story continued to be the same because you were there, right? So give thanks again for having me on the panel.
And give thanks for that real-time history lesson.
Okay.
Very important. And of course, under Sleng Teng, Wayne Smith, 1985, changed the game.
It changed the game.
Changed the
sure.
game. Another rhythm that changed the game in 1990 was the Pomon Jam, otherwise known as the Dembow rhythm. And beside me is the one and only Clevie Brownie of Steely and Cleevie. So I'd ask you to just take us through that journey and that important rhythm.
Yes, just before we go again, I would like to acknowledge all the panelists, all the fans, and all supporters of IRD. I wish you all a happy International Reggae Day. This is important that we can spend some time to focus on the genre reggae and dancehall. And for one, when we started playing a different beat, Steely and Cleevie never considered it another genre. We were playing reggae as far as we are concerned. And I should go back a bit to correct. It was in 1989 we made the track. 1989, released towards the end of the year in 1989, but got more popular in the following year, after which there was a genre that came out of my work through sampling and remix. And I must say though, I cannot delve too deeply into that rhythm. I cannot delve too deeply into it in that I'm now in litigation with regards to that particular song. But the rhythm still had an impact on another genre, which I've never heard explored before. But I can make it known now, maybe for the first time, that I had been invited to the Netherlands on several occasions where I was on a panel, I was on panels with regards to EDM. And I made a few notes, just to not leave out anyone. In the early days of EDM, there were samples taken from dancehall tracks. And more so, it was the DJs started speeding up several dancehall tracks, which they called bubbling. I'm just going to go through it. And I must big up Sly Dunbar, especially now, though. Sly, you were an inspiration to me in that in reggae, in the reggae era, we found that it was mainly one drop, and Sly explored and improvised on rhythm, and it inspired me to also explore on the rhythms we were creating, which led to the creation of, as you said, the Dembow rhythm, but the right name is Fish Market. But sorry, I can't go deeper into it out of what is already known in public domain. Now, with regards to bubbling, we have heard it said that EDM evolved also out or was inspired by dub. I won't take that away from it, but from the DJs in Europe themselves. They have said to me, all right, a DJ by the name of Marty J started the bubbling or speedy bubbling style by speeding up dancehall songs like Trailer Loader Girls by Shabba, Donna by Singing Sweet, Coca-Cola Bottle Shape by Simpleton, all Steely and Cleevie tracks, and Murder She Wrote by Shakademus and Pliers, produced by Sly and Robbie. Marty J was from Dutch Caribbean descent and was born in the Netherlands, but grew up in Aruba and Curacao, being exposed to reggae and dancehall there. Marty J influenced DJ Chucky, who was born in Suriname, but who grew up in Amsterdam. Chucky started out playing bubbling, but over the years became known as the eclectic DJ. He could be heard dropping a grunge song in the middle of a set, consisting of dancehall, hip-hop, soca, R&B, and house. Chucky became very influential in the US, especially when the US embraced Dutch EDM in the early 2010s. Hardwell, another Dutch EDM heavyweight, started out as a bubbling DJ and made his marks in EDM as a protege of DJ Tiesto. Afrojack, EDM DJ, producer, and beatmaker of Major Laser's Pon the Floor and Beyonce's Run the World, was also heavily influenced by bubbling. So it goes to show that going beyond the genre that had a reggae tone to it, that's all I will say. There are other genres influenced, and there are others too that I won't go into today. That might exceed the time I'm afforded.
But tell us a little bit about the rhythm itself, without obviously talking to the case, the magic of you and Steely.
All right.
What that really means.
Well, today you'll see I've brought Steely's bass he used to use from way back in the day. This is the bass that played on most, probably 99% of the hit songs we made. And it just feels like Steely is represented here as well. So I've brought this with me. I have company, put it that way, so it feels. All right, we were always exploring over the years, as I said, influenced by Sly's improvisations and the normal reggae beat. Reggae ended up having many different patterns. It's not just one pattern. And as far as we were concerned, during the era of recording for King Jammy's, Techniques, Redman International, pick out all of the labels that were amassing the hits of the 80s and 90s. Actually leading up to us playing on or producing the majority of the hits on the top 100 charts during that era. And we explored all sorts of different rhythm patterns outside of the studio. And one day we went in, not with any specific thing in mind. And I said to Steely, I want to play a different beat, just like Sly did. Played different beats, they experimented, and so on. So people were calling it dancehall. To us, it was reggae. That's another branch of the tree. And I just started playing the pattern, and Steely said, okay, I'm not really hearing a bass line because what I was doing, it felt like it was dropping where he would have heard the bass. So he just started complementing on beat 1 and 3 on a B-flat note. And that formed the basis of the pattern. But then further to that, I said, this needed more energy. And I went in the room in mixing lab, in the recording area, looking for something I could knock, a cowbell, anything. And I looked in the corner and saw a pair of timbales, like it was never used. And I said, just mic this up, called Fata. Those who use mixing lab would have known Fata at that time. And he mic'd it up, and I said, just run the tape. I started playing timbale fills, which became a very critical component in the sound we were going for at the time, and derivatives of the genre. If I should call it genre or not, but it was reggae as far as we were concerned. And the rest is history. We also found that the EDM, the creators of EDM, which came out of bubbling, of course, they also added some of those elements that were there in it. Over time, they added like kicks over it, because those early days they used to pitch up from turntables, which made the sound lighter and pitched up the vocal and all that. So they started overdubbing kicks to enhance the thing, but the same patterns were maintained. And the rest is history from there.
And quite a history it's been.
Yes.
You know.
I should mention, though, one of the songs I mentioned earlier, Trailer Load of Girls, was basically the same pattern without the timbales. You know, and that is what had been also utilized in many songs from the genre of reggaeton to it. I've not called
Dancehall in another language. Yeah, very much dancehall in Spanish, but very blessed that you and Steely were able to set a table so large that it could accommodate and feed so many.
I'm happy to have been
But
able to
thus is the
contribute.
legacy of Jamaican music. We continue to be not just food for ourselves, but we create food for others,
Yeah.
you know?
I need to mention one other thing, as you mentioned, being food for others. That was an intentional part of our journey, where we went minimalistic with the music. If you listen, you're not going to hear a lot of instruments. The simplicity allowed for artists who had something to say. We gave them a voice without concern about key. The more instruments you put in, especially chords, it points to key. No, so songs like When with Tiger and all that, we stripped it down, the rhythm, to make it drum-driven, more so drum-driven. But it does create the composition of the song, the overall work, and as such, it is copyrightable. I could decide tomorrow to say, all right, I'm going to make a new rhythm with a mackerel can, you know, and just knock a certain beat that is new and unique, and a voice is added to it. There's nothing to say that you have to pass a certain threshold of instrumentation to make it copyrightable. That's original. There's just, and some of our songs were made with chords, for the singers especially, but stripped down to accommodate the off key, as we would say, because many of the artists, they needed some means to support themselves and their families. Right. So it was a deliberate effort to be minimalistic with our work.
That's excellent. The fact that as producers, you saw forward enough to leave space in the composition for the other layers of creativity. 'Cause of course, a recording is a combination of talents. It's a bundle of rights, but it's also a collaboration at every level, from the engineer and the producer straight through to the composer and the artist. So here we are in the top of 90s. We hit 92. And thank you very much. Segue into the third rhythm we're going to focus on, sometimes known as the Murder, She Wrote, or the Bam Bam rhythm. Originally, Toots and the Maytals, winning the first festival song in Jamaica in 1966, introduced this rhythm and this language to the mix. And of course, Sister Nancy topped with Bam Bam again. And then came Sly and Robbie with a recording of this rhythm with the vocals from Shaka Demus and Pliers. And Murder, She Wrote, again, sailed into the history books as one of the most sampled songs in dancehall across the board, but particularly, obviously, in hip-hop and other genres. And so I would love to have the next few minutes us taking a journey with the great Sly Dunbar. Oh, mic is mute, Sly, if you can unmute.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello, hello.
Yes, hearing you good.
Yeah. Morning to everyone, both local and foreign, Clevie. everyone, young inner circle, JARIA and this Billboard over there, you know. Well, I won't talk about a murder she wrote and things like that. A lot of people call it the bam bam rhythm, but it's not really bam bam rhythm. I always, in my drum patterns, I've always listened to African music. My mother and myself used to sit down and watch Rick Cycleford, Eddie Thomas dance group dancing to all these, what you call it, you know, they had a workshop that they danced on. And I realized that by listening to Lloyd Lives, I realized that Lloyd Lives was only the one drummer was playing pattern right through the song, not just a regular one drum. And he has a song called Smiling that the Dam Drummond made. And if you listen to that, he just playing snare drum only. No, I had nothing at all. And we did something with him at the university, and he was explaining to us all the different patterns and everything one night. And we were playing records and saying, I could have played this that way and played this that way. I said, wow, this man is crazy, you know. So I learned a lot from him. So I started listening to a lot of African music. And what I was playing in reggae, a lot of people don't know what African beats I was playing. But because reggae would be like 68 beats per minute, I kind of took it down slow to match the tempo, somewhere up and things like that. So if you listen to this special song called I Need a Big Heel Boots, if you used to take the drums, they take all the instrument out and leave the drums, it will carry right back to what everybody's dancing to these days. And I remember when Jacob Miller came to myself and Robbie, and he wanted us to do a song. But in a circle, and Robbie and myself were like good friends. And Jacob Miller said, let's go for Sly, because Jacob Miller used to come by Tit for Tat Club and sing. Sometime on a Saturday night, I sing 2 songs, passing show. So he said to Sly, say to me, Sly, play the same beat that you always play. I said, wow. So I was saying to Roger, say, you don't have to play the tune fast to get energy, it's just attitude. So we did what's the song called again? Da, 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 da. I don't know the name of it, but I was talking to Roger yesterday, and I said, boy, it's like up to date, this song is still bad. And when we started the rhythm, and Jacob said, yes, I know Jacob is fat and his belly was bubbling, you know. I said, yes, Sly, that is it. And, you know, we became good friends in the inner circle. And this is one of the beats that I put inside of reggae. But I didn't really create some of this stuff because I heard it playing in other songs, and I think decided to take it and put it in reggae, and it worked. You know, some of them I created it and things like that. But for Murder She Wrote beat came from Kumena. I used to always sit at television and watch. Whenever it came around to August and Independence Day, they always have this old stuff they bring on television. And they were dancing around this. I don't know what the dance is called, a male pole dance or something around, going around this post. But she was holding her hip and going up and down. I said, wow. So in my head, I started playing ticky, tick, ticky, tick, ticky, tick. I said, well, it can work. So I sat down and listened back to some coming now, which came from Africa, because all of this stuff that we're talking about dance, everything came from Africa. It's in African music, if you break it down. And I started playing, and then it was on one Christmas morning, I think, in 91. And then my daughter came downstairs and said, that sounds good. And I said, really? So I started putting on this piano thing, come. So I went to the studio, the Holy Ghost student in Sonic Sound, and Gitsy came and said, Gitsy, listen to this beat. Then we started playing an instrumental called Santa Barbara. So the piano was on it already, which I had played, and Gitsy put in the little guitar, saying that song, when I said, we need a second part, and then go to bang, down, down, down. I said, okay. And I said, let's run it right through the track, because Shaka Demus wanted a song, and maybe the DJ would like it if we go right to the track. So we did that, called Shaka Demus some players, and he came in and he started singing. I said to players, you know, Bam Bam? And say yes, and I was supposed to record on him to sing it. And that put it in a body called the Bam Bam rhythm, but it had nothing to do with its rhythm. It was an instrumental record, which is called Santa Barbara. And that is the history of Murder She Wrote. Everybody say it came from Toots Bam Bam. Nothing to do with Toots Bam Bam. But obviously, players sang Bam Bam on the rhythm.
Got you.
So Toots has to get his credit for that.
Yes, definitely.
Yes. But it had nothing to do with bamba. But I say it was African music we're playing. And I've been playing African music ever since I started playing drums.
Well, you know,
And then go back,
sorry, go ahead.
if you even go back to double barrel, I was playing, I let it start playing. I remember when I used to do flow show, I was so young, I was like 14 years old. Because I played double barrel before I even reached 15 years old. And Ansel Collins, the Light Parts, who are my mentor, you know, they kind of tutor me. Ansel Collins to come and take the drums and play for like the flow show people like Miko Blanco and all these people who used to do the limber dance on the buckle. And then when it come back to the dance music, I would go back to the drum and stuff because I didn't understand anything about it. But I was watching Ansel play all these patterns and these African beats and what we call mento and everything, you know. And this is where all my teaching came from. So I can incorporate those styles and realize that I was dealing with a beat and tempo thing from ever since. I realized this could work and this couldn't work. And I realized reggae and ska, reggae is like the slow version of ska because I could play the same pattern inside of reggae and play it in ska and switch back and forth with it. And this is how everything developed. And I created my own style from this.
Well, definitely the African retention has continued to impact us in many, many ways, including creating.
Yeah, because I say if you look at Anita Biggie Boots and even Stanley in the Turbine song, All Who Believe in Love, which I did it, right? And if you listen to the beat in that, you could hear like, what they call it, reggaeton or whatever, playing inside of it. And everything is coming down from what I heard, all these previous drummer like Lydon's playing, listen to the Kumina when my father and myself used to go to, when they were playing Mento at rhythm section, nothing like that, you know? And I would listen. And when I started playing drums, I started to put all these things, wow, you can play like this and like that. So, you know, everything really came from Africa still.
Yes.
All the beats, but everything.
With sound and life.
And I predicted that it's going to go right back to Africa. And even the other day, Link said to Sly, you've been saying that for years. I say, that's where the groove is from, Africa. If you're not playing Africa music right now, Africa has so many different rhythms. You're going to be lost because they're going to take over and control. And that's a takeover. It's there already. And that's where I get all my teaching from Africa.
Well, that's one of the reasons we have from Brookings to Bogle as part of the celebration, because we have to remember those roots, just as we're asking
remember,
to
if you look
remember
back at
our
Africa,
roots. Yeah.
They're just playing drums and singing and dancing. There's nothing else in it. And even when I was doing Ain't Nothing Going On But the Rain for Gwen Got You, I was playing the drum track only for her, and she was singing Ain't Nothing Going On the drum track only. And then the rest of the music and Robbie and everybody started filling in around what I was playing.
You always say it comes down to the groove.
The groove of the drums is very powerful, as the Clevie said, powerful. But we have to know how to use it, you know?
Yeah,
if I may. With drums is very hard sometimes. You have to live it, eat it, drink it, everything, you know?
Yeah, if I may, Sly, I just want to commend you, though. One thing you mentioned, the rhythm is called Santa Barbara. And that is a move we had made quite early. Instead of using version, you know, what a lot of people don't know is that the rhythms were made independent of artists. And as such, they became a song to themselves, an instrumental, which is why the name
most of our
Fish
dancehall
Market.
stuff we're done in instrumental form before it even go down to the DJ, you know, because as a musician, first thing you're going to do is make an instrumental as a musician, because you're not a singer. So I always make instrumental, because I love instrumental, and I learned some scatterlights, and I love it very much, and Ansel Collins, because as I said, the first two songs I played, and one was an instrumental for Scratch Perry called Night Doctor, came out as the upsetter. And for the second one was Double Barrel, which was a million seller. Before we switched this, all my life was involved in instrumental as a kid growing up, you know. So we always make instrumental. Even a lot of people say it's not selling. And even when it came back to Beenie Man, we'd cover Beenie stuff and Beenie Man. That's the last thing I sent him. It's instrumental already made, and Beenie Man just came right on rhythm and did that. Same thing, Mission Impossible, that done an instrumental, and Innocent Cook came on it. Because I think it sometimes gets a better vibe, sometimes make it an instrumental, you know, because it can groove it in and out a certain way until the DJ comes in it. And that's all songs are made instrumental.
I kind of did vex about the Mission Impossible, because I tell me say it's going to be an instrumental, And then hear artists on it.
Yeah. I remember Beenie Man said, go on with the style. I said, no, Beenie Man.
So we just get mad and go check it.
But where are David? And then,
where next with
when we do the next one now,
yeah.
we see Beenie Man riding a Sonic, so I said, Beenie Man outside, you know. And I said, nah, I'm reading my leave, and Beenie Man going. But no, Beenie Man clever now. I tell you the story. Beenie Man going, went, tum, ting, tum, tum, tum. And I'm going, and Beenie Man walking, so enough respect. I said, go on, Beenie Man, we're not stopping. And I'm trying some first, and I'm come up out and listen. And I'm standing there, listen. I'm saying, I go back in, you know, why the one there? I'm go back in. I will listen to him, and I'm saying, when him listen to the music first, I'm going, when the piano go pang, ting, tang, him answer the piano, I just the last I send him, tam, ting, tang. He never come on the one like, tam, ting, I just upon the first speak. I know when he be in trouble, so I mute the piano, lead him, and him answer the piano. It was a back and forth. But when it came to the part, everybody sit there and hold tight and say, let's what Beenie Man is going to do. And everybody said, die. Everybody was walking to the same Beenie Man the greatest. You know, die. Everybody said, I'm just doing one cut. I said, Sly later, and come on, I can go. Beenie Man, wicked. Everybody just said, no, it's over. Song done.
And you know, Sly, Shabba said it, you know.
But if you listen to the piano, that's very clever, because a lot of people come on the one. I never come on the one. I'm just something. Because when I go in first and do the first thing, I must come in on the one. And then when the piano start, not the way I something. I just say that's it. Something, make music. And it does start back and forth. I look at him and say, boy, no, I'm wicked. Enough respect for being one. I just sit down and watch him and do that. Because I was in studio. I watched him go in the first time. I said, no, that is nothing. I go back in and just lick it one cut. Go back on him back. I said, later slide.
Yeah, as I was saying, Shabba said it best. DJ ears cock up when them hear boom riddim.
Yeah.
So that was a boom riddim.
Yeah. And the funny thing, you know, like this, I was discussing with Ansel and my son, that's why we're going to cut it Tuesday, you know. Yeah. And I was telling Ansel, I want to hear the rhythm as this dancehall thing, and say, yeah, man, you can't be playing. I'm saying, sure. I say, yeah, man. We went down to Sonic Sound and did it, and Ansel come and play everything, and Dean them come in and put on the arms and everything. I say, yeah. But being the man that's walking on the mix, you know, I don't have time, Mr. Right, and go right.
Yeah, right. Can we not cuss about the Mission Impossible, remember, man?
Yeah, man.
We not cuss about the Mission Impossible, and Bulby called me and said, them I put out the next rhythm now, you know. And I said, all right, I'm there for my way, I ride my bike.
Yes. Bobby don't Sonic. Yeah, Bobby don't.
I reach.
Coming on the bike, I'm saying, Beenie Man outside, you know.
Yeah, man.
Back outside, and Beenie Man is walking, I said, wait there.
Yeah, wait there.
Beenie Man, if I make him go in, because
Robbie bad me up. The man I said, you try already, you know, and you not catch it tonight. So we give one more chance. You slide. Allow him, man, I Beenie Man, he might catch it. So I'm going there and I start listening to the rhythm now. I say, I know exactly where to do slide. I'm ready. I'll go back in there now.
Yeah.
And Sly say, you sure? I say, I'm ready, man. One lick.
One lick and ride out back.
Yeah, man, I hit that one time. But so, go back in there.
So being it, what you say?
I film a thing where I do it, but I show people what really happen, you know?
Yeah, man. I'll use him with that thing, Clevie.
Yeah, but guess what? In your case, Sly, him come up on a bike and end up on a taxi.
On a taxi. Yeah, guy.
Excellent.
Street sweeper in a slide. Go on and studio, you know. Steely cost me all night. Hey, boy, I can't remember me and Steely growing in Augustown. 2 hours grew together. See him? But me always call him Mr. Steely. So I say, why you call me Mr. Steely? I go like more like you. I'm be a cuss me and him cuss. But 2 hours August, birth. So I saw we still cuss right through. Yeah. So I say, all right, here the rhythm, I give you one name, Battery Dolly. You remember, man? And you do the harmony upon it. I done the argument. I man said, I give you 5 minutes. If you don't make that tune in 5 minutes, then slide them not bother me. So I say, them time after Selassie, I send them. So in hear the story, say, I'm going there one time and do it. So I say, you must can do this for me. So I'm going to come and send me in there. They say, I give you one topic, Battery Dolly. So I say, what is that Battery Dolly? Yeah, you work it out.
Straight to number one. Straight to number one.
Last week, Saturday, they call battery Dali. One time.
Yeah,
one time. Be a freestyle.
Amazing, man. Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's
That's
like,
a one
wanna
time.
give me that. Give me that. We call it that confidence for no say. I can't go in that shooter. Because when Robbie get up and say one chance, I get in it. You know, I get two chances in it. For the foundation, you know. So that's why I said, you know. I say, all right, come out and shoot the Robbie. Come in and look for your face, you know. And Sly goes so. I in and shoot him. Slap it, man, and go for Robbie and say, come hear this. Murder.
Now, I'm going to lick it, man, from out and listen to it. Kind of company piano, you know, and never put drum up it.
No, I have to make the piano play. And then jump in between the piano.
I can't go around. I have all the time in the word for wait and make any word I want to say. No.
Yeah,
never write them nothing.
Never write
nothing. Make the piano and him come answer the piano. Piano lead, him come.
Yeah,
but
man.
the part of mash up body, make papa.
And that's how them are wait pan. Because they ever wonder if me have a DJ pan the pam pan. Me I say, yeah, idiot. Slide them make rhythm that they making it. When me know slide them from Putum.
Every man.
And that me know slide them from.
So them come.
So when them come with the rhythm now and them come with the pam pam and pam, me like a DJ in there say, yeah, idiot. Die! Die! I'm Mr. Sly start laughing and say, me are the man. I'm putting me thing. Yes, seriously, because the man they make instrumental.
But you know, this song never released in Jamaica first, you know. I think VP take it and from Beat Man, but come to America.
Yeah.
And somebody come from them there at this place here. Like someone play out, and then me a big son play a tune. Beat Man on it and percussion and everything.
Yeah,
and them come and say, most of the song. I say, which song that? Say, I saw with percussion and thing in the dance song.
Yeah, man.
That's the wickedest thing. The wickedest thing I'm here. I say, really? Man, it's a bar. So the thing drop, man. I don't know if some last year I said
mash up, it's like a bossy place.
Something was somebody come out and a man said, really the wickedest thing, man.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm hearing is that there was a lot of love, respect, and collaboration and inspiration among the various layers of this fraternity at that time.
It have to be love and respect, you know, Andrea. It can't work, you know.
Yeah.
Up to yesterday, I thought, you know, circle, I thought the time there. Because was forward, they were backward, never. Me and Robbie played up with Jacob, because we had Jacob was great into an inner circle there.
Yeah.
And we just going for a session and play. I even forward, they were backward, never in festival song. And me and Robbie played, we just say, Sly Robbie come play this tune for you, man. And Jacob tell me. So it was much love and it's no problem. Me and Roger thought the whole day saying, Roger said, boy, Sly, come check with my man.
Sly, them time that this did nicer. There's no dissonance.
Yeah, man, play love, only love.
A man just know say, Sly them can play the rhythm better than the man, you know. Here go on. Come play a rhythm for me, Sly. And the man round the sun have no hard feelings and no bad feelings.
They might look for the best.
A Sly them can play the rhythm and Sly can bring the rhythm to that level where the rhythm need for reach.
Respect you.
Yeah. So me, you know, I'm worried Sly them. Because if Sly them not vice me not vice nobody. Or me not vice Jammies, or me not vice Clevie and Steely, or me not vice Sly. Well, what kind of music me that make? What kind of foundation me that set as an artist?
Yeah.
We are forward from 70s. Me not forward from 60s like Sly them.
5 years old.
Yep, you understand?
Get to your journey long.
From 70s.
Your journey long.
When me know Sly them as musician, I know say, them man, I have to record for. Yeah, so I don't make myself no bad man, no gunman, no war person when nobody wants.
No work on being man, no fit
tune. Man put on my uniform and grab studio, make them know it's school me I come from. Yeah. So in Sly them say forward now. See? Because Sly them would have an engineer named Rat Patrol, they call him Bulby. Bulby Kaliniak. Rat Patrol him name. My little boy, Sly them bring him in a music for bus week. Him come deal a rhythm name. The song I'm doing here, Memories Don't Live Like
I mean,
that's why I know say Sly make them jump there. Sly make them jump there. See it? So that's why I know say Sly them a part of my career.
I'll praise them too. I'll praise them.
All of them. I make them know say I only make a
foundation to so much.
At the foundation of music.
But we have to show the love though. We don't show the love.
I see what you're saying.
That is what happened right now. And we have to go back to the people that we also was there for us. Come in and leave the old school like Light Park.
No time at all. Yeah, man.
Who bring me the thing, you know. We call one another every day and talk. Sometimes Robbie in the spa show, they just show that talk and I laugh and I get some joke and everything. But
last night, I read was there for me ends about 10 hours, you know.
All right. See, the
watch
was
movie and them
you know that.
Yeah.
So there are genuine friendships and
every day
respect
was
straight
every
through.
day.
Yeah.
I would just say that more time. So for the music go forward and pick up speed where it used to have, we have to join force and start check back one another, man.
Seriously, man. True, man.
Unity is strength.
No care good a musician is, you know. I tell you something, him alone can't do it. Motown never farm pan, Burger alone, I'm great, but how much people in our world?
Yeah, man.
Smoking rap, ever.
One man never run music slide.
No, never.
Never, ever. You never see one artist run the world, like never.
It's a take teamwork to make the dream
right
work.
true.
Yeah.
Andrea, if Motown did have 200 #1 song in a Billboard chart when civil war movements ago, when black now buy, when a black can't go west, and yet still, he must sell 200 #1 song in America, and black people are making them record.
Yeah.
Because white people are buying them.
He must smoke Robin, so he have the all them people that wrong him and make record. All them people was 15-year-old, you know.
Yeah.
Young people.
Be a young people.
Well, that's the fascinating thing about our story, because we're here as elders in the game now. We have to remind everybody that we were all young people when they started. And even going back to the 60s, to Scan, to Rocksteady, Mr. Dad used to tell me him open the doors. Pure teenager out in front of him.
We become.
You know what I mean? Everybody from Burning Spear and Wailers to Toots and the Maytals. Young people. This is a young people movement. This is a young people.
The street part of my
Coxon, that's the first man give me a chance for recording.
It was like 17-year-old when I write about the street.
Okay, that's why I know.
Temptation, 17-year-olds. Arranger.
That's
right, those string
man.
girls.
Are you telling me forgot taste this?
Yeah.
So go
Excellent.
Show them, man.
We want to go. This is fantastic, and I love where we're going. And to connect this conversation into the next rhythm, which was now in 1998, we're looking at a rhythm called the Playground Rhythm.
Oh.
Right, everybody from Sean Paul to Mr. Vegas
97.
to 97 into 98, yes.
Thank you very much.
Into the great Beenie Man here with Who Am I? And I'm going to just ask Mr. Jeremy Harding, producer of this track, to take us through this fantastic.
So, big up to everybody on the panel. Andrea, thanks for having me. JARIA, mentors, Clevie, Sly, friends, Abebe, the greatest, Moses Davis. All of you, big up to everybody, all the listeners. It's interesting when I heard Noel Davey, big up Noel, talking about the Sleng Teng, because I was a student at Jamaica School of Music, it was called at the time, before it was called Edna Manley. And you could attend high school and still go there for lessons after school and on Saturdays. And I was a student in the 80s going to high school at Jamaica School of Music. And a friend of mine actually had one of the Casio keyboards, and we discovered the rhythm that we heard on the radio in the Casio. So we were all freaking out because we had it at school and we're fooling around with it. And you know, say, yeah, man, this is the same Sleng Teng thing that's on the radio, you know what I mean? So this is like, you know, late 80s, leaving and going to high school. And I was playing guitar at School of Music. Mikey Fletcher was one of my guitar teachers. Even though you know him as a bass player, Mike is an amazing classical guitar player. Ray Hitchens was another one of my teachers as well. And when I left and gone away to school to further my studies in a boarding school and ended up in Montreal for university, it's there that I started actually DJing, not DJing, but being a disc jockey on a radio show, which I had for 4 or 5 years. And because I was DJing on this radio show, it was urban music, primarily was the format of this station. It was a college station, McGill Radio, CKUT 90.3 FM, but Montreal didn't have a true urban station, so the college station served as a true urban station. So I was exposed to a lot of hip-hop and dancehall and house music and everything all at once, which of course led to many artists coming to me to, you know, bring their songs to play demos on the air. It was college radio, we could play demos and stuff. So this is what got me interested in actually making music. And there's a school called Trebas Institute, which is kind of like a Full Sail in Montreal, which I switched and started going to that school. And I was learning about engineering and production and, you know, I mean, the time frame, I mean, we're still using tape. Digital hadn't really come in as yet at all.
And then there was a dancehall station in Germany.
Yeah.
In Montreal.
Everybody who passed through
College
Montreal
station.
would have gotten interviewed on that
Yeah.
station. Yeah, everybody.
We
I
have to go
personally
do interview at the college.
Yeah.
Remember them time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think they're like Islet Dread them was in Montreal, and he used to send us food, and big up his restaurant and station, can I get free promo and stuff like that. Yeah, so in doing all that now, meeting a lot of rappers, a lot of hip hop artists who wanted, to get on the show and to get on the radio, because we played my show was a mix of reggae and reggae dancehall really and hip hop, because my partner, whose name is David Wexlow, was from New York. So he used to bring all the New York hip hop records, and I'd bring all the 45s from Jamaica and go back down to in the holidays and go to Aquarius and bring back records and play music. So we started having this radio show, started DJing at nightclubs, and so that led to, as I said, rappers wanting to be on the show and have their stuff featured, and it led me to start monkeying around with production. So I decided I'm going to learn production. Went to Trebas, learned production, and started to apply it to making beats for the kids around me. Now, what's important to realize that I learned music production making hip-hop records, not making dancehall or reggae records. So I learned how the hip-hop producers were making records at the time, which is sampling off of vinyl and chopping up drums and filtering down bass lines and using things in a sample and time stretching it and things like that. So that production style, when I came back to Jamaica and I started a small studio and I started doing jingles for a living, and my brother Zachary started a sound system with some friends called Syndicate Disco. So of course now he realizes, well, you have a small studio and we have a sound system, so can we cut dubs at the studio? And I was like, okay, well, I don't really know anything about cutting dubs. I mean, I'm here still making hip-hop beats and things like that. Zachary says, no, man, we need dub plates for the sound, etc. Now, critically at that time, I had brought back a system with me called Session 8, which was an 8-track digital hard disk recording system. It was the first of its kind in the whole of Jamaica. Nobody wasn't recording on digital and computers as yet. People are still using tape machines. Yeah. So this was an affordable system and was really, really unique. Had a special PC I had to build for it. And I was running Nuendo software at the time. So it was digital recording. So the advantage of this is that for the dub plates, for example, I could just load up all the rhythms in the computer. When somebody asked for a dub plate, I could just simply drag and drop it and say, good, ready to go. And then they would hit record. And when they're finished, I could burn to CD, because we weren't at email as yet. But I could burn it to a CD, and then they could take that, and then they could go and make an actual physical dub plate themselves. You know what I mean? They could get the split tracks whatsoever. But the process was quick and fast. So the studio quickly became a dub plate place uptown, which everybody loved to come to. So that brought the selectors like Babyface, King Addies, Adonai Sound System, Stone Love, Travelers, Renaissance. We just started at the same time, Syndicates. Everybody used to come to 8 Jackson Road to come and cut dubs, because it was quick and fast. The stuff was in the computer, loaded up. You didn't have to take a lot of time. If you made a mistake, it was digital. Nobody had seen that before. I could just go erase, or I could punch it in and you could continue. Unlike cutting a traditional dub plate where you're actually cutting the acetate, and if you mess up, you'd have to start again. Yeah. And so it was a thriving kind of dub plate business, if you want to call it that way, going on. But most importantly, it brought me exposure to the artists, because I wasn't connecting with artists in any other way. I'd see them come to the studio, so selectors would bring them there and they'd come and they'd do dub plates. Somewhere along the line, I think Buccaneer was the one who said to me, Jeremy, what are you doing in this thing with dancehall? I was like, well, I think I can try Bill a rhythm and say, do my own production. He was warning me. He's like, no, you don't want to get into dancehall. Jeremy, trust me. You're just like an uptown boy. You're not going to manage. This thing is a ruthless game. And these guys, they're going to eat you up and etc. And I was like, boy, okay, I don't know. Let me try something. Yeah. So I tried a rhythm called Fearless Rhythm and got a few artists to record, but nobody of any big stature. But the rhythm itself was a popular dub plate rhythm used by Syndicate and Renaissance. So they used to cut dubs on the rhythm and it would play out. I used to go out and hear it playing, so I could actually hear my productions playing on big sound systems and hearing the artists I wish I could have gotten for it singing their dubs on it.
And Fearless.
Other songs for other producers, right, and Fearless Rhythm. So that was encouraging. and led me to the next project. Now, the next project, again, as I was saying before, the whole idea of how I made beats was based off of learning hip-hop production. So when I came to the playground rhythm, the bass line for me was an 808 kick drum, which I'd use a sample of an 808 kick drum, which people familiar with hip-hop know that. So boom, 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 that kind of boom sounding kick drum. But if you pitched up and down keys, you can play bass lines with it, as I do like in modern forms of hip-hop. So I use that 808 as the bass line. I use a snare from, a sample from a hip-hop record. I think it might have been Mobb Deep or something like that. I think the line that you hear running through it is a sample from a jazz record, which I'd pitched down into my sampler and pitched it down and played a line with it. And the percussion stuff, trying to remember exactly right now, but most of these things were taken on bits and pieces. Oh, of course, a sample from The Roots, you know, the band The Roots that plays on Jimmy Fallon show. Yeah. Something off of their album. They actually have, well, me, Beenie, and The Roots share the publishing on the record. But yeah, so I chopped it together using a sample from, 2 samples from a hip hop record and like a 808 bass line, and you know what I mean, and try to put together this formation of what I thought dancehall should be. Because I tried to make the dancehall that my mentors at the time were making. I tried to make dancehall like Sly Dunbar. Couldn't get the sound, couldn't get the groove. I tried to make dancehall like Steely and Cleevie. Couldn't get the sound, could not get the groove. I tried like all of them, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, this can't be that hard. Like, you know, it's just a kick and it's a snare, right? And it's a giggy drum, and, you know, I must can chop it together because could not get to the groove and sit right. I was like, you know what, let me not try and sound like them or do it like how they do it.
You play one rhythm and make me find a yard.
Yes, and so that's the whole thing. So when I did the rhythm that way, you know, you know, I voiced my first collection of artists. Of course, I had young artists around me. Sean Paul was a young artist. Vegas was a young artist. Don Youth was established, but he was, you know, one of our first links to the industry. He knew Sprague. He brought him in. We had a nice collection of people going on the rhythm. And it was doing fairly well. And I was very satisfied with it. So Chicken from Dirty Cup Crew, rest in peace, Chicken now, calls me and says, by the way, we're at the club last night. It was Mirage at the open. I said, we saw Beenie. And Beenie said, I'm coming for the rhythm. So I was like, what is that supposed to mean, Beenie is coming for the rhythm? So now it's funny because now you hear Beenie Man talking about how he ran up and slide them and ran up and steal them, right? So this is his pattern. So I was like, okay, whatever. Like, I did not know Beenie Man. Beenie Man was the biggest dancehall artist at the time. It was like, there's no Beenie Man voice for me. I'm not anybody. I'm working with these little guys trying to bust. So I just put it up my head. I was like, okay, that's never going to happen. Remember, we don't have social media. We don't have cell phones. It's not like we can DM people and follow them and like this connectivity. Like if you didn't know somebody directly or go to places where they were, you just didn't know the person. So I started to ignore them and I was like, okay, well, that would be nice, but whatever. The morning now, early, I hear knocking at my door. This is, remember the night before Chicken told me he saw Beenie Man at Mirage. He's coming for the rhythm. So the morning now, I get up and I go, here knocking at the door. Like it's early, I don't know, 8 o'clock. A time where nobody should be knocking on a studio door.
Yeah, 7:39 morning.
So, okay, there you go. So I go and I look through the peephole in the door. So Beenie Man had brought with him Mankind. Remember that artist, Beenie?
Sure,
Mankind, right, Mankind knew where the studio was. But when I looked through the peephole to see who was knocking at the door, all I saw was Mankind's face. Because he's right up by the peephole. So I'm there like at 8 o'clock in the morning, 7:30. Like, what the hell is Mankind doing at my studio at this time of morning? Is he crazy? So I went back to bed. So Chicken is calling me again now. House phone, remember no cell phone, calling off the house phone, wherever he's calling me from. I said, Jeremy, Beenie said he's there, you're not answering the door. I said, you mean Beenie is there? There's no, get up again and go and look. But this time now, nobody's crowding up the keyhole so I can stay who is sitting down outside. So I realized, I said, oh shit, fucking Beenie Man. Sorry, swearing. So get up now, brush teeth, quick time, wash face, bam, 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 bam. Open door. And all I remember Beenie just said, yeah, come for the rhythm, you know. Yeah. Just like that. Yeah, not like, hi, nice to meet you, man. I'm be your German hard, nothing. Don't care. Just wonder, yeah, come for the rhythm. I'm just like, okay. Turn on the studio quick. Again, because it's a digital setup, it didn't take any time. Just boot the computer and had an instrument of the rhythm put in there. And Moses, I think this was a 2-take song. I know you did one take for Sly and for them, but I think you did this Two takes, I think I remember.
Yeah, because I have
two takes, but Beenie did the record.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the interesting thing is, again, like what Sly spoke about when you deal with the Mission Impossible rhythm and how Beenie knows how to weave in and out of instruments. When I'd done that playground rhythm, and I had played this big motif in the rhythm, the bam, 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 you know, like what we call phrase.
You tell me say you only have a mixed version.
Well, that's exactly, because I didn't have enough time, so I just played that version for you. And Beenie Man, most of the artists who had heard the rhythm, who had voiced it before, had tried to copy the phrase or tried to go along with the phrase or stuff like that. And Beenie was just like, no, I'm going to complement it. I'm just going to go the other direction to where the phrase was. And and just kind of play it. So it was really, really, really an amazing thing to happen at the time. It launched not only my career, it launched, you could argue it launched Sean Paul's career, Vegas's career, all of these guys. Because I mean, they had nice hits on the rhythm, but to get a caliber artist like a Beenie on the rhythm in that time, in that culture, meant that the rhythm would play more in more places. So who didn't play the rhythm before will now play it because you have a headliner on the beat, you know what I mean, on the rhythm. So the last thing I want to say about it is that, interestingly enough, I mean, like, you know, it went through all of these phases, and the Beenie song was huge, and then the Vegas got popular, and then different records got popular throughout it. And, you know, Roddy Gunn called me, and he was like, do you know you have like a top 10 record here in the UK with Who Am I? And it just opened up so many doors.
I'll get kick off.
Interesting thing. Yes. But the interesting thing about it, though, is that a lot of the disc jockeys that are playing the rhythm said to me, you know, one of the reasons why this rhythm is so easy for us to play, like on radio and in the clubs, is because it sounds like hip-hop. I said, what do you mean it sounds? It's like, well, it has the same texture as the hip-hop records.
It sounds like a pop record, my guy.
Like, it's dancehall.
Yeah, but it sounds pop.
Well, and if you think about it, if I had constructed a record, I mean, to Sly and to Clevie sitting down there, if I'm using elements of actual hip-hop songs to create it, then that would explain that the texture would sound similar. So I'm using the 808 kick drums for the beat, I'm using their snares, I'm using their samples, you know what I mean? So the texture was similar. So the comments I got from a lot of the disc jockeys were like, yo, this sits comfortably alongside our other hip-hop records. We just play it, it just feels seamless, you know what I mean? Like it's one sound. So that was like a kind of a happy accident that happened there. But yeah, that's pretty much the story of how
trust me.
Playground made them was made.
That about the wicked track now, Jeremy. Wicked and still wicked.
Yeah, man, Sly, thanks much, man.
Yeah, you see, Jeremy never invite me to the track, you know.
You come take it.
I hear the track.
You came for it.
Me hear Sean Paul sang on the track, and me I say, me like that track here, me like how it sound. So me I say, all right. Them time we're international and we're there everywhere in the world. We're there on Billboard chart, we're there on MTV, we're there on BT, everything. Me I said, this is the next hit, you know. Yeah, and then I said, this is going to reach the next hit. And me I said, all right, watch it. So when Jeremy said I have the mixed version of the rhythm, me I said, you have the best part of the rhythm. Yeah, I get the build of the rhythm, everything mixed and everything nice.
Yeah,
then start playing now, me I said, me I go singing that phrase there. And the phrase start playing, I'm go, oh, na, 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 na. Oh, na, na. And this alone, me stop, you know, and I go say, die. And me, I say, simmer, I'm murder. Yeah, yes. The rest is history.
Yes, it's history. We said it over and over in this session. I see it. You know, it speaks a lot to not just the talent.
It's not the most lyrical song,
but it
we can tell you that. But it have, you see the melody and the phrase and the groove.
Yeah.
Murder, man.
So I wanted to touch a little bit.
The thing about this, you see that the girl Mahalia, cool down, simmer, cool down, that record. They're just gone. They just went, I think, platinum in the UK.
Yeah.
Like a couple days ago. You know what I mean? And I thought it was exciting to me.
Yeah.
That a smash hit record by Beenie Man, 20 years forward.
20 years forward.
Made another smash hit record for another artist.
Yeah.
In another country, in a whole other
like
genre.
World of Reggae.
You know what I mean?
But about 240 times the song me cover back here.
Okay. Again, speaking to the power and the legacy.
All right, good. Bye, worry about it. Yeah, I'm done in the gems. Always.
Can we just talk a
Respect
little
me.
bit more about the production itself? Because clearly, what happened in this era was more than just a coincidental accident of talent.
Yeah.
There was some very deep thought put into it. There was some very critical skill sets that were applied, and obviously the bravery to experiment in the way you did. Not
Now,
to
I
be
kind of
contained.
go find Jeremy.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Because I don't know where him live. I don't know how to get to him. So I find Mankind, because Mankind, we give him a piece of land on a Cracktown to plant some callaloo and some okra. Because, you know, man, Rasta, we need the greens and the thing them. So I say, Mankind, you must know where Jeremy live. And I say, yeah, man. So through me run a man in time. In my runnings, he must say, in the Jeremy live. So I say, go knock up Jeremy. So Jeremy see Mankind now, and I say, what this man you doing here? So, yeah, we're going to knock him back early, you know, me I talk about early morning. Right? Jeremy, people them not wake up for go to school yet, and woman not wake up for go to work yet. Jeremy not ready for work yet, because I'm morning, early morning.
But you ready?
You me ready long time, from I wake up, me ready.
Yeah.
So you never say, I don't want any callaloo today.
No,
You
you never tell me that. So when we voice the song, is after we finish voice the song, then the artists them come at the studio. This after 10 now, they get bright and things. So yeah, artists them come in the studio, every man starts say what they want to say about the song, and me I say, me not change one word. I'm send for my car forward, and I drive out, and I say, Jeremy, me I you book on Billboard bench. And think I joke me I making it.
Prophecy
Yeah,
revealed.
another one of the greatest things about that record, you know, I carried to Jerry D was playing on the radio.
Yeah.
Right? Like, say, being a voice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, let's say, for example.
Thursday, you put it
or
up.
whatever. I called Jerry D, who, you know, went to high school with me as well. I was like, Jerry, I need a favor of an additional record to play on the Struggling. Can I come and premiere it on your show? He's like, yeah, sure, no problem. So I brought that tape, digital audio tape, and I went down to RJR. And, you know, Jerry gave me a big intro. Jeremy Harding, the man behind the playground rhythm, he has a new one for us, Beenie Man, ready? Sim. So he plays it. And then wheeled up and then play it again. So I said, okay, Jerry, thanks much. I said, when I get the actual 45, I'll come back and check you so you can add it to your juggling. He says, no problem. You can just leave me that tape. I said, yeah, sure. I go home, 9 o'clock, maybe 11 o'clock. He calls me. He says, are you near our radio? I said, not really. I can't. He's going to turn on your radio. So I went. I was like, what? And it's playing. He says to me, I've been playing this record for 2 hours. That's what he's talking about, Jerry. He's like, I play it, I pull it up, I stop. I take commercial, I come back, people call in, they say, play it again. I wheel it up, I take commercial, I talk, people say, play it again. He could not take it. 2 hours, he was playing straight on the radio.
Yeah.
By Monday morning, Jason Lee from Sonic Sounds was blowing up my phone. I said, everybody's down here asking for this Beenie Man record on your rhythm. What is this about? Which Beenie Man record? Blah, blah. I said, Jason, I literally just have that tape and Jerry D played. I'm saying, you need to come down here now. The place ram. I went down with that tape to Sonic Sounds, and Jason pressed that record alone. He shut down all of his presses for like the next 3-4 days. He showed me, he called me back again. Come and look. And I went around the back, 5-man pressing, too hard, who am I? Too hard, who am I? Who am I? And I'm like, oh my God. He said, no other record in there is selling like this. Unbelievable. It's the only thing the shops want to order. I'm putting all the presses to press this 45 this week only. You know what I mean? Phenomenal. So you know a real hit record, you know. It's the response from the people. Yeah. It's not, yes, we have to do promo, we have to PR records, and we have to talk about them, and we have to make music videos.
Hits.
Natural hit record, nothing beats it.
Yeah, you can't.
You
have to hold on for the ride.
And the same thing I'm with Foundation, man. I'm going to check Slide them and I say, yo, what do you do? I never put out rhythm and I dip on it. And Slide them and say, I never plan to put out an artist on it. But I say, when I look up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's an innocent crew. I say, I wouldn't ramp it down. I say, go. Because when you go for rhythm, you go for the rhythm because your heart.
Touch you.
Sure.
Make it move, make it think. Yeah.
Well,
you know, and the rhythm man. Again, there was so much happening with the rhythms and how it was coming together. I wanted us to get like a 60-second response from each of you producers in terms of the production. You've talked about it throughout these few minutes ahead, but you know, things like call and response and that's the frequencies, the harmonics, the sound engineering that went into the sound itself. And the way we produce. From the first time Instagram lowered the bass at Studio One and we started playing with the hardware to make new sounds out of what it was made. Like how important has that been to the development of this unique sound that we call 80s, 90s dancehall? Clevie, if I can ask you to start.
Yeah, I learned quite early in 1989 when we did a cover of Tracy Chapman's Baby Can I Hold You Tonight.
Yeah. Sorry.
On the taxi
rhythm.
rhythm.
Yeah. Them beat our back taxi.
Yeah.
And Foxy Brown sing sorry.
It was very important to us having acceptance of the sonic elements of the music on American radio. Because we would go really hard and deep with the bass. And we know they compress. Radio stations will compress. They also place songs in certain categories based on what kind of instrumentation is there. For instance, you have some stations might not play songs with saxophone because it might appear jazz-oriented to those stations in particular. So when it was released, everyone, Steely, myself, my management, and the record company that released it were all listening in to Z100 at the time.
Yeah.
Z100 at national coverage.
Still the stations.
And we were there scared to say, wow, is it going to be compressed to a point that you lose elements that you want to come out? And it passed with flying colors. We also went on to do that with Ting-a-ling-a-ling. And I'm glad Jeremy mentioned it was radio friendly with the use of the hip-hop elements he used in that recording. We didn't use hip-hop elements, but we analyzed frequencies and saw where it was necessary to fall within the scope of what would be acceptable on American radio and British radio. I found that the British would go a little harder. But in order to get a wider coverage in the US, you had to fall within the standards. So we had to find a way to meet them halfway because we wanted the songs to sound good on sound systems in Jamaica, which to stray a bit from that, I mean, that is one of the main reasons we also had a sound system, Silverhawk. We followed the route that Duke Reed and Coxton took. And the sound systems were a very important factor in determining what would work or not. So many times before release of our work, we would test it on the sound system. And sometimes go back to mix again. We also used to just run the songs.
Radio mix.
We would run the songs on cassette at the time, drive into Halfway Tree Square, and look at the people, look at the culture, and see if the music seemed to fit there or not. And sometimes you have to go add a little element that put a little more market woman with basket on her head feel to it, And that is what really connected well. So it's not as if we went hip-hop at all. We actually found over the years doing remixes for Jive Records and all that hip-hop producers used to come into our sessions and watch what we did. Also, we would drive sounds to a saturation point at times. And the engineers, I remember at Jive Records, used to say, no, you can't do that. Because as trained engineers, they operated by the rules of what they learned. But we used to go beyond that, And to the point that they saw the speakers jumping out of the box.
Change
and they
the
said,
world policy.
No, we can't do that. They won't allow it. And I said, all right, let's rent some speakers.
Yeah.
And we brought our own speakers in the studio and drive
every
the
day
thing to a point that, and I believe they learned from that. Also, when we did...
Don't believe them learn from that. Because after I want to do that, every man start put sound system in them car.
Okay.
Then the hip-hop beat them start get heavier. And you start get the bass and the drum them heavier.
Correct.
So when you got change the people them lifestyle.
Yeah.
You see,
Because that particular period of time, hip-hop was sample-based.
Yeah, sample, everything them sample.
Old funk.
Man put on an old record and sample it. But them man make the rhythm themselves.
And the bass on those songs were largely more in the mid-range kind of
mid-range.
thing. Apart from 808s. But they came in.
Sly Robbie and Steely Cleevie them, I want to change the people their music.
So I believe there was a major impact from us being there.
Yeah, man.
We also had signed some jungle producers to Steely and Cleevie, which eventually was signed to Island Records. And we did our radio station tour in the New York area. And because we were moving from 16 beats, Sly would understand, to thinking 30-second beats, we found shortly afterward, like, people like, I'm not saying he heard it, but people like Timbaland and so started thinking 30-second beats instead of 16 beats. You're thinking faster. And even today with trap, you hear the hi-hats and all that playing the 30-second beats.
When you teach real music, when you go on like when you too honest and too simple, when you teach real for play music.
Jungle in the UK, although they took funky drummer, where they chopped up the beats and reversed and started at different locations and the timeline and all that. They took reggae samples. A lot of the artists were
right, true.
And that led Steely to go to England to investigate. While I remained in Jamaica building our studio at the time, Steely went there to investigate and found some of the producers who were doing it, some young youths, and we signed them. So it was when we took them on tour, on the radio station tour, to play some jungle in the US. But jungle wasn't being played in the US.
No.
I saw a change come about.
It's a British music.
So our influence continued through the production, and I want to also just shout out to all the media houses, people like Barry G and Jerry Davey, and those who were at the front of giving some space to dancehall to be played to the people out. And of course the sound systems, which from the very foundation, from the Windrush until now, were the key. Real quick 30-second, and I'm going to throw to...
Yeah, quickly. Are you hearing? Yeah. I remember there was a big hit that came off of this machine. It wasn't... That one was created by me. Because they tell me to go in the studio and create. That time it was King Tubby's. I said, create a rhythm. Play back Staggerlag. You know Staggerlag?
Yeah.
So
when trouble take care of that.
Yeah, so I say, you know, I'm not playing nobody rhythm in it. Them time you just want to establish yourself.
Yeah.
So I went and I made Tempo.
Fever.
And Red Rose, they made a big hit. And then later on, the biggest hit that came out of that rhythm, you know, is Boomer, you know. Be a busy signal. Yeah, use some lines. So
watch out for this.
Right.
Yeah.
So the tempo rhythm is very big. Yes. Control
huge rhythm, man. A huge rhythm.
Gussie is the person who
control that.
Yeah, because I designed with Gussie. Unfortunately, my career was different. I wasn't a producer. I was a person who wanted to learn to play music. So I was just playing for producers. Clevie looked at me in the early days and said, "Why you don't produce?" I don't know if you remember that. Yeah, they used to call and steal it. They used to say, "Why you don't produce?" But you can't be learning and doing
at the
same time. That's me. So eventually, I went on tour as a musician. Toured Damian Marley and Julian Marley and Steve Marley. I toured the Marleys for 20 odd years. Right, so that was where my career went, in that direction. I wanted to travel the world.
Musician, yes, yes.
But it pay off because you can go and play now and still satisfy and feel good. Money is good enough, but it's not all the time.
Money isn't everything.
Yeah. So I just wanted to make mention of that. And you have Cantana So by Tiger. It was produced by Errol Scorcher and Chaka Demus. Right? They used to come by my place, and Chaka Demus up to now, Chaka Demus don't leave me, you know. So you have some guys who give me a lot of respect.
Remember when you play tempo, you know?
Right.
Me down at Tubby's the day when you play.
Right, the long time. Right.
Yeah, them time the Red was them Tubby's just buying the red car.
Wayne Palmer, those guys.
Yeah, very nice.
Right. Remember when you play tempo, man?
I wanted to throw
I said, Noel.
The next question, and as we come close to the end of this session, we could talk for hours. I'm sure I'm enjoying this so much. But I wanted us to touch with Pat Meschino at Billboard and Abby Lewis at Circle House. Just to ask you in brief, if you can give a sense of your take on the influence of 80s, 90s dancehall and on the genres that we're speaking about in brief, obviously. But give us a sense of how you feel the connectivity has been over these last couple decades. I think ladies first.
Ladies first.
Thank you so much. And
Thank you, Andrea, for having me as part of this wonderful esteemed panel today, and greetings to everyone watching online. Well, the influence is just, I feel like 80s and 90s dancehall is probably bigger now than it was even in the 80s and 90s, and that was the era I started in as a writer. So it's a very, very significant time in my life, and to see this kind of recognition for it is, it's bittersweet in a sense. Of course, the recognition is great when it comes, but there's a lot of times things that are the descendants of 80s and 90s dancehall not being recognized as the descendants of 80s and 90s dancehall. And of course, Clevie, with what you're going through, and just immense respect to you for taking on essentially challenging a whole other genre of music that really has not done a great job in recognizing its Jamaican roots, that being reggaeton, that being the dembow subgenre, and yet the names of those two just say it all. So I know you can't say much or anything at all maybe to that comment, but it's just a lot of respect to you for taking that on and attempting to just make the world aware of what's rightfully yours and what rightfully comes from Jamaica. But every show you go to, we just had a big show in New York, Groovin' in the Park. It has its 90s dancehall segment. Of course, it seems like every major show. Reggae Sumfest last year, the tribute to Dave Kelly, one of the major production names of the 90s. Tribute there, Beenie Man, of course, you were a stellar performer as part of that segment. And, Groovin' in the Park, as I said, in New York, we just had a dancehall segment. Upcoming Sumfest, there's a tribute to King Jammies. And so it just continues to, music continues to be sampled, music continues to be reconfigured. And that's great for, it's great that there's still such a demand for it. And it's exciting to see people use it in different ways. But as I said, it's bittersweet when the creators of this music are not properly recognized and in some cases not properly compensated for it. But I want to say to Noel Davey, that was just an amazing demonstration. I mean, the root of all of this digital music, and you're right there with the Casio, and that was just brilliant to see that. And I hope I just saw a documentary the other day, and talking about the roots of digital dancehall, and I didn't hear your name called, and it just really saddened me. But I hope with more forums like this, we can continue to enlighten people as to who really were the creators and who really did so much to bring the music in the 90s to the heights it reached. Sly and Robbie, of course, so many hits. The Murder, She Wrote being the big hit it was. Jeremy, Beenie Man, The Playground, Who Am I mean, huge. In New York City, where I live, that was such a big song, such a big radio hit, something that has eluded a lot of dancehall in this present time. But all of you producers on the panel today and artists, you were part of that era who took the music from the sound system to the major markets in the US. And Clevie, your point about, trying to the frequencies and trying to tune into what other markets are doing, but without compromising what you want to do and what you want to express, but finding a way so it matches up. I think that's so significant, and something that I'd like to see a lot of the young music makers of today also embrace, that way of, listening to what's out there, but not being so repetitive with it, but saying, this is me as a Jamaican artist, as a Jamaican producer, or whatever, and however you identify with whatever genre you want to make. But one thing that saddens me about today is to see so much of music coming from Jamaica being subsumed by other musics rather than saying we can put a Jamaican flavor to this, as our colleagues in the 80s and especially in the 90s did so well, so skillfully, as the producers on this panel have been explaining throughout this session this morning. So they, glad to see the music being used, still being so vital to many hit records, from Sister Nancy's Bomb Bomb, which seems like that's just never going to stop being sampled and put into other songs, to the various rhythms from Madhouse Records, to Sly and Robbie, Steely Cleevie, of course, you know, so much. But to just see that the people who are the creators of it are, of course, compensated, but also recognized. Their names are called. I mean, many have passed away, but many are still here and are willing to talk, obviously explain the process, which is just so fascinating, but they deserve their due. And I just hope that we can see that, you know, going forward. I mean, I just wanted to make a comment too about reggae and dancehall reggae and hip hop coming together. Again, 90s was a huge decade for that. Shabba Ranks being one of the biggest stars of that era, and one of the most important figures in bringing people to it in the early 90s. But preceding Shabba, someone who I don't think gets enough credit for what he did is Shinehead, who on the hip hop side of things, you'll always hear KRS-One brought reggae and dancehall to hip hop, and no denying he did, and a very important figure in that. But KRS-One will tell you he was influenced by Shinehead, who never quite had the radio hits, yet he had the brilliant catalog, and he could rap, he could DJ, and he could just go back and forth between that and pretty much anything else he did. So to me, that's one of the unsung heroes in kind of laying a foundation before we even got to the 90s explosion with Shabba, Super Cat, Beenie Man, Bounty, Buju, Sly, and Steely Cleevie, and Jeremy, and what all of you did in making so many of these hits. So, and of course, Sean Paul, you know, on the cusp of that, the late 90s into the 2000s, and the explosion that he was, you know, he led, and the great success he had. So just to big up some of the unsung heroes, that's a panel unto itself, and not to deviate too far from the question. And
well, say my name, say my name. I mean, those are all names that we have included this year on our honorees list for that same reason. We want to make sure we shine a light on, and we like to give roses while you're here to receive them. But and definitely, we have created something and served a menu and a meal that the world has taken to, and we don't mind sharing and having you partake, but we want to be recognized, acknowledged, and compensated. And just the way you all have been able to borrow from, influenced by other genres, other music, other works, but credit must be given where credit is due. Baby, I'm going to ask you to just take us in a similarly fashion to just touch from where you are in South Florida. I know you receive a lot of cross-pollination happening from all sides of the fence. Tell us a little quickly about your perspective on this.
Well, the perspective I want to say big up to everybody on this panel, from Beenie Man. He used to come to the Gated Circle House a whole lot too. Jeremy Harding, Sly, man, I learned so much from Sly and Robbie, man. And Pat, I always read everything you do. Andrea, I love what you're doing. JARIA, were involved in the Reggae Month. I learned very much a lot, but I want to say I am just a student here in this whole, you know what I'm saying, learning so much today. But man, dancehall was a very huge impact. As I want to big up also Busta Rhymes, you know what I'm saying, who made a big stance at the BET Awards and shouted out reggae music and dancehall music a whole lot on that platform. And when it comes out of the mouths of people like that, Busta, it just comes through a little bit different to the masses. You know what I'm saying? Because we do a lot, but when people like that understand it, and him being Jamaican and people get it, you know what I'm saying? Like me being at the studio every day, seeing the Flow Riders, seeing everybody and all the big artists come through, they love and respect dancehall. But of course, the 80s and 90s, early 2000 dancehall more than anything. I mean, like the bigger, huge clubs like Dreas in Las Vegas, Live in Miami, like they really, you know, they play some of the newer dancehall artists, but like every hip hop guy goes to that 80s and 90s set of hit records that you know, and that's what's almost reprogramming this new generation. Because you got to understand, there's so many new generations coming, and it's almost like we're rewriting history by just with the music, but it's a lot of them that vacillate to the new, but it's just to the older 80s and 90s dancehall.
Yeah.
So it definitely brings that impact. And then when it comes to brands, oh my gosh, when it comes to brands, Wendy's just used Bad Boys in a commercial, the Toots with the Levi's commercial, things like that I look at because that's more of an essence of what Jamaica and reggae is. And the brands and that type of music helps sell the brands to go get those huge sync licensing for the Bad Boys movies and the different things. They always revert back to that style of music and that time and era because that's what's sellable. You know what I'm saying? Not to say the new vibes is not sellable, but it's more so it's that time. Like I think Mr. Steely mentioned about the lady with the hat. I mean, she got the food on the top of the heads. Because sometimes we have to think outside of just the consumer. We have to think like the masses. You know what I'm saying? So when I go to certain clubs, I go Spanish night, I watch what they play. I go to the hip hop night, I watch what they play. I go to the EDM night, I watch what they play and how they react to our music. To now, how can we monetize this now? How can I take this and make this a commercial for Doritos or come up with my own line of seasonings or different restaurants and different things like that. So it's just really encompassing the culture with the hit music that we have, you know what I'm saying, with different things. So, you know, I'm just a student here and I've learned so much today.
Well, the student's getting an A. You got an A for today? Yeah, definitely. And I wish we had more time to go deeper into this conversation, but we're at that point where we're wrapping up. And I want to give the last word to the doctor.
Okay.
I'd like you now, in quick time, because we don't want to.
Yeah, quick time. No.
But give us your.
I don't do the long thing. Jeremy, I just want to tell you thanks for making me that star that I am. Sly, thank you very much. Mama Pat, thank you, because you know me your history go back, way back. Like, way back. See? In a circle guy, you know you're me done. Me agree from your little boy, I know you're a big man. Zine, so me just want to tell the whole of them thanks. And I am very, 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 very glad that I'm here. And I am humbled for say thanks to the IRM for be part of my career, for be part of Beenie Man that bring this brand to the world. I thank you very much. Clevie, I don't have to thank him no more, because I thank him every day. Noel, him know him my brethren because me and him little brother used to play, which is Power Man. So I just want to know step. Zine. So far back, way back from Waterhouse, to our band there. I just want to know. But thank you for having me here, and thank you for having me on this panel.
Thank you for making the time to be here. I want you to just tell us real quick though.
We'll call Wayne Smith name, and we just want to say, rest in peace, Wayne Smith, because he's no longer with us.
Yeah, Wayne Smith. True.
Okay.
Now tap on the mic. Tap on the mic. Say it loud.
Yeah, man. We called Wayne Smith name earlier, and I didn't mention that he was departed.
He's no longer with us, but he's here in music.
Yeah.
But to all of the items,
he's a part of the history. So
respect and manners.
Yeah.
And love, you know.
And thing.
Every time.
Why do you think dancehall continues to be so impacting to generations and genres?
No, because we not easily give up. So I care where you fight, and I care where you try to do. We in your face. See, we are bad man. You know nothing about this. we not easily give up. So when you come to dancehall music, it's not going nowhere. And then when you sing a hit dancehall song, just mark God and see Christ say, you're going to hear it back.
Yeah.
Because Mama Nancy, Bam Bam and a fair original song. Bam Bam and Toots and the Metals original song. But how much people make over Toots Bam Bam?
Versus that version.
Versus
To
to
the rhythm, to the producers, to the artists, to the sound systems, to the media and the fans that have made this genre what it is. We thank you.
Thank you.
We thank you. We thank you. I'm going to ask my co-producer Lisa-Ann OGilvie to come and close the session and give the thank yous to our sponsors,
Big up
to
Reggae
our
Day.
hosts.
Big up Reggae
Thank you,
International.
Oh, big up Reggae Day and happy
Big up
Reggae Day to
Reggae
everybody, of course,
International Day.
of course.
Big
And
up
to
JARIA.
JARIA, we
Big
thank
up
you very
JARIA.
much for the partnership.
This is the
Always
day of
bringing people to the
international
fore. Big up
reggae
JARIA.
music.
Thank you, Andrea. That was such an enriching discussion and experience listening to all of you, weaving that tapestry, the history, your personal experience, the anecdotes. It was absolutely amazing. I'm so privileged to have been a part of this. But my duty is to very quickly say thank you. So I want to thank everyone on the panel. Clevie Brownie, Noel Davey, Moses Beenie Man Davis, Sly Dunbar, Jeremy Harding, Abebe Lewis, and Pat Meschino. Thank you so much for your contributions to the conversation today. I really want to thank also Ewan Simpson, who opened the proceedings. Our partners, JARIA, were instrumental in making this event happen. When we came to them with the idea, it was immediately grasped, and we really appreciate your support and how it has turned out today. It's been amazing. We also want to talk to our sponsors and our partners who have been supporting us in the delivery of this event. Supreme Ventures, we definitely need to give thanks. Jams, Visual Tech, who is here delivering all of our technical proceedings for the event. Jamaica Arts Holdings and Caribbean Events. Gregory Isaacs Foundation, Jamaicans.com, and Brush Digital. Thank you all so very much for your support to International Reggae Day and to the delivery of the panel discussion today. And I bid you good afternoon.
Respect here.
Yes.
Zagazao, zigazao, zagazao, anyhow, the show done now.
Can I have a photo?